You want to draw?
Yeah, Matt wants to win.
Matt wants to win.
All right, so all the ones that don't remember what this was for the competition we had back in September. It was for listings taken, under contracts, referrals sent through relocation, recruits sent to the company, and call nights. We had 2 call nights. So we're going to continue to try to do some of the call nights coming up. But we did have some cool prizes this time. We're going to give out an iPad mini, 2 gift cards, one to Chili's, one to Barnes & Noble, and then a half for Meat & Sparrow. So,
And then lunch with Jason, right?
and then lunch with Jason on. And so if you win this one, you get lunch. And
But you have to take Jason with. So
Okay, Kimberly. You had to buy for Jason.
you have to buy for Jason.
And we did make a mistake. Not that hopefully it doesn't turn into a big mistake, but we should have written your names on it because this could take a really, really long time. So we're just going to hope that
We're here.
that we're here and we'll be able to do
Yeah.
it. Okay, so
Well, no, it is a mistake, cause.
well, John forgot his ticket.
Oh,
at
that,
home.
that's
So
a mistake.
there is for
That's
sure a win in here. In fact, I'm going to pull out the first.
Snooze, you lose,
I'm going to
John.
pull out the first one, and if it's not there, I'll save it so you can see if it was you. How about that?
I'm not giving the back.
That's exactly
Okay, so
what.
first one's for the grand prize, right?
First one, we're going to do the grand prize first, okay? iPad mini.
Okay. All right.
Sweet.
2493158.
Aw.
That's John. Is it you?
It's gone.
Oh.
Gone.
Okay, go on. We're doing it fast.
Let's go.
I think they're.
Are they all 249?
I think it's the last 4 numbers we're gonna look at.
Yeah.
3158.
Keep them going.
Next.
Okay, go ahead.
Go.
Let's go.
Okay, 30.
3158. 3158.
Whoa, she was late.
She was late.
Oh.
She was
I
here.
missed my exit at Union Park.
Oh, come on.
2493158.
There you go.
No! Yeah!
There we go.
And you get a cover. iPad mini.
Rick just told her yesterday.
All right, here we go. This is for a book. You can buy the Never Split the Difference and join me for book club this next month.
Okay.
There you go. 3099.
Okay. What was that number?
3099.
I don't give her zeros.
Okay. 3101. 3089. 3148. 3102. 3092. 30.
Oh! 3092. Oh, wait, I got one.
There we go. Good job. Okay.
Great work.
Dinner with me with your gift card.
Chili's.
3009. Matt, got yours?
No.
3168.
So close.
Right here.
Oh.
She was been gone for like 2 weeks.
I know, look at that.
Eric was working the business, so.
Congratulations.
This is his.
Back from Europe.
Yeah,
And you can take me instead of Jason, it's okay. Just kidding.
All right. And a new hat. This is John's.
I already got that.
3103. 3180. 3007.
Yep.
Really?
Really, but you can do it another person.
You don't want a hat?
Take it.
I wanted to pick
Take the
that.
hat.
Take the house.
Yeah.
It's okay, this is promoted, we're gonna do this all
Three
this together.
3082. 3010. 3184.
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
Well,
Awesome.
at least we didn't have to go through
Yeah, you
500.
don't have to go through all of that. Thank you.
Next time we'll be a little bit. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, Christopher,
I'll take those tickets.
you wanna
You
give
wanna
a short?
beat yourself up later?
You guys, we're gonna have another contest hopefully in November, and so we'll have awards again. So-
Congratulations to all you winners. It's awesome. We love supporting these kinds of things. So hopefully you keep doing this and get lots of calls and get lots of leads and anything we can do to help your business. Just know that we're to support you on it. I'm going to be really fast today. I just want to talk about something you ought to be aware of if you have buyers regarding appraisal waivers. You ever heard of that before? Appraisal waivers, getting an appraisal waiver? Yeah.
Just read about it the other day.
Okay, we're starting to see more of this, meaning when people are getting qualified, we always run what's called an automated underwriting system. It's called DU or LP. And basically it's an electronic underwriter that determines the eligibility of that file. And everyone has to run this on every file they do. And we're starting to get a lot of appraisal waivers, meaning the borrower does not have to get an appraisal on the house that they are buying, which is kind of unusual. And we're starting to see this a little bit more because a lot of people are having a little bit more of a down payment. So on purchases, you just need to know, in case anyone asks, I want to see if I can get an appraisal waiver because it saves them over $500 having to get an appraisal. In order to get an appraisal waiver, they have to have a pretty big down payment on purchase transactions. They have to have at least 20% down on a purchase transaction to be able to get an appraisal waiver. So if your clients don't have that, they will never get one. But if someone has 20+% down on a purchase transaction, they very likely get an appraisal waiver. If they have other good qualifying information, they determine the appraisal waiver based on the amount of data they have in that neighborhood to see if that value that you've got the home under contract for is a good value or not. So you have to have at least 20% down to get the appraisal waiver. It's good, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But so that's why I think we've seen them a little bit more with refinances, right? Because you usually have equity.
Yeah, refi you only have to have 10% equity. So you can do a 90% loan on a refi.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can get a appraisal waiver if you have 10% equity. Doesn't mean you will get one. It just means you can get one.
Well,
Okay.
well, right.
So it looks at, number one, your credit score on the borrower, other risk factors to determine whether you get it. Then it looks at this house, because all appraisals have to be logged into a federal system these days, every appraisal that's done. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the two big government entities that control all lending, they've got appraisal data on almost every home in the country. So when they know this particular house in this neighborhood is getting a refinance or being bought for $200,000, they know data about all the houses in that neighborhood that are like it to say, yeah, that's probably a good value. That's not an inflated value of $200,000 purchase price, for example. That's what we're seeing these other homes appraising for on refinances or on purchases. So when they look at that and see that the borrower is putting 20% down as good credit, they say, we don't have to get an appraisal because we take that value as is because it's based on the data, that's an acceptable value. So it's a great thing because it saves your clients a ton of money. It's over $500 in an appraisal on purchases. But again, they have to have 20% down, but it does not apply to a few types of loans. You just need to understand. It does not apply to investment properties, okay, which you have to have a big down payment anyway. It doesn't apply to condos, okay? It doesn't apply to 2 to 4 unit properties. It doesn't apply to mobile homes, which we're starting to see more of those here in Utah. It doesn't apply to homes that are valued at more than $1 million. Okay, so it's kind of a sweet spot. Got to be single family homes, primary residences or second homes, less than $1 million, which is the majority of homes that are out there. But you just need to know some of those fringe type of properties cannot apply for appraisal waiver. Now, the pro again of this is the borrower is going to save over $500 in an appraisal fee. The negative is your borrower may want, and you may want, to get an appraisal because you want to see if there's defects, or maybe you think the home was overpriced and you're hoping it appraises for a little bit less, and you're going to go back and renegotiate the price with the seller. Sometimes that's a strategy that people use. You have to keep in mind that if anyone gets if you actually decide you want to exercise that, get the appraisal done, even though you got a waiver, the second you have an appraisal ordered, the waiver goes away. It's not like you get to pick. So let's say you get an appraisal waiver on a property. It was a $500,000 purchase price. Borrower's putting 20% down. We got an appraisal waiver, but you guys actually think, gosh, I think it maybe only appraised for $480 to $490, so we wanted to get an appraisal done, hoping it appraised for a little bit less. We go back to the seller, renegotiate. So you get an appraisal ordered. The second we have an appraisal ordered, the appraisal waiver option disappears. You cannot do that. We have to then use the appraised value of the appraisal, which could affect things in the long run, plus cost your borrower a little extra money. So something you need to consider, that your borrower may say, well, no, I want an appraisal because I want to know what's going on with the house. I want to see the condition of it, which is understandable. But if they go and get the appraisal waiver option is off the table. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions? Okay, great, thank you.
We're good?
Yep.
Alright, hi
Hi.
guys, how is everyone?
Awesome.
Sounds like a lively bunch.
Mhm.
Well, there's no energy and enthusiasm in there. How is everyone?
Awesome.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, some of you were here, some of you weren't. So thank you for those of you who are coming back, and thank you to those who are now here. So we talked about the 4 different personality styles and versatility, and really the effects. And Jason will kind of retouch on the rapport techniques, but really the effects in our sales process and how it can help us, right? And so one of the things I just want to kind of quickly go over, especially for those who weren't here, is the similarities. So write this statement down, and I'll say it over and over again, and those of you who wrote it down 2 weeks ago, I want you to write it again, okay? Because I think it's key to versatility. And I think it's important for us to understand, right, that it's easier for us to determine who they are not first before we determine who they are. And so today, Jason and I are, this is going to be a live interaction class, you guys. We want you to actually participate in this. So Jason and I are going to role play out a few, and then we're actually going to break off and role play. But I want you to really focus on the concept of determining who they are not first before you determine who they are. And so for those of you who were here 2 weeks ago, why do we do that? Or if you weren't here 2 weeks ago and you know why do we do that? Daniel.
You can generally rule out about 50% two of the personality styles.
Okay, perfect. Jeff?
You said, why do we want to
Yeah,
know?
why do we determine who they are not first before we determine who they are?
Well, I guess a good example
Why would that be?
would be sharing intense numbers with someone who's not an analytical, who
Okay.
doesn't care, and vice versa from there, just so you're present in the right way, so.
Absolutely. Okay, I want you guys to get in the habit, great answers. I want you guys to get in the habit of determining who they are not first before you decide who they are. It's very quick, especially for some of us who have been at this for years, is we want to determine who they are fast, right? Because that's what we've been trained to do. We know how to do it. And at the same time, it's an easy habit to fall into where we can often be wrong. Right? And so I want you to determine who they're not first before you determine who they are, because oftentimes they're going to act in 2 personality styles. Okay, we might have a client, let's just say for an example, who's going through a divorce. Are they going to naturally, on occasion, on a regular basis, would they naturally be acting from their personality, their natural personality, if under that pressure?
No.
Probably not,
Maybe they're stressed
right?
like that.
Probably not. They're usually going to be stressed out, they're sad, depressed, whatever it may be, and it's going to cause them to go into their other personality style. Okay, so if you guys, I'll just give the 3 books again. If you haven't read them, it's something I highly recommend. You have Versatile Selling by Wilson Learning Systems. Jason's got it in front of us. Okay, very small, very simple. It is a workbook. That one is pretty just detailed to the point on the personality styles. The other one that I love is Charisma Myth, and John Syatt recommended that to us years ago, by Olivia Fox. Charisma Myth, And then the most recent one is Platinum Roll. And that probably came out about a year or 2 ago.
What is it?
Platinum Roll. And I believe his name is Michael O'Connor. For my expressives, that one tends to be a good one for you guys to read. So, okay.
Lots of pictures.
Lots of pictures. Okay, well, high level personality, right? Exactly. How do I learn this faster? Okay. And so personality styles are key, you guys, to our ability to succeed at a high level. We'll often hear that 25% of ourselves we can do, right? Because they're like us. But we need to be able to sell to the other 75%. Okay, and so making sure that you're doing that. So I want to talk to the key personality styles and just go over it real quickly again. The driver and the analytical, okay, they both are numbers oriented, and they're both low on emotion. Okay, they're going to make decisions based off of low emotion. Everything is going to be numbers oriented. Now the numbers are going to, with the driver, are going to obviously be a little bit more bottom line oriented. The analytical is going to be more systems and strategies and how the heck did you get all of those numbers? And you better be able to deliver the whole system. Okay, the expressive and the driver are fast decision makers, and they're almost fast in everything they do. So when Jason gets into some other, the rapport techniques, they're fast in the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they act, right? They're not afraid to make decisions, okay? Now, the driver's not afraid to make decisions because he knows he can make a decision to change it, right? And recourse. The expressive is not afraid to make decisions just because they always make them based off of emotions, and heck, they'll just go in a spiral because of it in most cases, okay? So, and then the amiable and the analytical, slow decision makers, and they're slow talkers, walkers, slow action taking, everything. Okay, but again, the amiable is going to usually be doing those things based on emotion. The analytical is usually going to be doing those things based on facts, figures, and details. Okay, and then obviously your amiable and your expressive, high on emotion. They're almost always going to be basing their decisions based off of emotion. I often will refer to the amiable as the feel, felt, found closes. If you're not using those, you should. Right? How do you feel about this? Right? All of that kind of stuff. And then the expressives, again, are high on emotion and emotion based. So they're usually going to make their decisions based on emotions, right? The expressive. So just real quickly, I want to give you, for those of you who weren't here, and maybe just like a little quick cheat sheet. You guys, I keep my 3x5 cards in my office. I think it's important that you have these in front of you at all times, whether they're hanging in your stand-up cubicles, whatever you need to do to create your cheat sheet. I know those of you who were here 2 weeks ago, we went into detail on each personality style. But those of you who weren't here, I just want to give you a quick synopsis, I guess you would say. So expressive, high on emotion, fast decision making. They're very generous and outspoken. Okay, they're very open and very spontaneous. So they'll often do things very quickly and based off of pretty much no facts, right? They're just going to make their decisions quick. They're always rushing or appear to be rushing around. They're the clients that are often going to appear to be the busy one, right? Things like that. They love to be center of attention. Okay, so anything you can do in your presentation to make them feel like they're the main key, the better you're going to win them over. Okay, they're never bored and they're always late. These are the individuals that you can be late for because they'll be okay with it because they're probably going to be 15 minutes late themselves. Ask my friends, they'll all tell you about me, of course, right? So, okay, the amiable, they're high on emotion. They're slow in the decision-making process. They're very friendly and very warm. So I call my expressives my life of the parties. My amiables are my best friends. Right? Those are kind of my nicknames for it. They're very agreeable. The amiable, you guys, is also somebody that I'm not going to text back and confirm our appointment. Why?
Because they'll use that opportunity without confrontation to cancel.
Fastest way out of the appointment without confrontation. Okay, same thing with your expressives. I'm not going to text and confirm my appointments with them. Why? They got another party to go to. They're going to that instead. And then they don't have to be confronted with it. Okay? So again, some certain things that you can pay attention to. And then also with the amiables, they have a high need sense of approval. So anything that you can do to make them feel approved, that they're part of the process, that their decisions they're making are you approved by it, right? That you think that it's best, and anything you guys can do to lead them through that process to help them feel like they're making the right decision, okay? And that you approve of it. And then I always will say, make sure that you're working towards a common goal with them. They're the ones that you want to say, we're working towards a common goal to get your home sold, right? You and I are on a team together. They love the words we and team, okay? Because it makes them feel like they're a part of it. Okay, driver. Decisions quickly, control, and will take control of the conversation. So these are the individuals that you have to make sure you're asking great questions because they will take control of your presentation, okay? They love action. They're very forceful and get things done. Okay, and then they're very bottom line oriented, and they're often the personality style that most people will consider as very dominant, rude, aloof, right, arrogant, that type of thing. But it's really not, it's just who they are. Okay, so what's your guys' nickname for them? Okay, I like it.
That was a nice one.
Narcissist, jerk. I don't know about that so much. They're usually pretty intentional. Jerk?
Yeah.
Okay, jerk. I love it. Okay, analytical. They're low on emotion, slow in the decision-making process, very structured and very organized. You show up to a listing presentation and you're not structured and organized, you will drive this personality style crazy. Okay? Make sure, especially my expressives, make sure you're showing up prepared. Don't look like you're disorganized and scattered all over the place. Okay? They require facts, figures, and details. These are the individuals who are going to want to see your schedule. They're going to want to know how you're actively selling their home, right? They're the individual that we often hear that say, please provide my schedule for you, or I'll provide my schedule for you to show you what I'm doing, okay? They follow procedures. They are often, I call them the perfectionist. Okay, that's my nickname for the analytical. They're good at problem solving, so make sure that you're including them in the process. If there's a problem on the topic, I always will say don't let them feel like they need to solve the problem, but let them feel like they're part of the problem solving process. Okay, and the other thing that I would just say on the analyticals is just know these guys usually are very disciplined on time. You can't go off time, can't go off your schedule. If you tell them 15 to 20 minutes, you better be there for 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, unless they have questions. Analyticals tend to sometimes turn into expressives, especially when you get them excited about numbers. Okay?
Or processes.
Or processes, or systems, or what else, Jace?
It's not just numbers.
Okay, perfect. Jason's gonna cover over the other techniques that we want to talk to, and then we're gonna role play these.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to talk about building rapport. And there's 4 elements to building rapport. And the key to it, we're going to connect the dots between the 2 of these. In order for us to get something done, we've got to be able to build rapport with the clients that we have. By doing that, we have to dip into their realm, what they are like, to get them comfortable before you can lead them through the process. Sometimes the misconception is, I'm dealing with a driver, therefore the entire presentation I have to be a driver to them. And that's not necessarily the case. When somebody is allowing you to lead, you can lead them through a process. This is how the rapport is built. So the first one I'll talk about is tone of voice. Okay, has anyone ever heard the statement, it's not what you said, it's how you said it?
Yeah, my wife said.
Has anyone said, yeah, been said to you more than one time, right? Okay? If this is where tone of voice comes in. We've seen the study, the UCLA study, that was 7% words, 55% body language, and 38% tone, right? We've all seen that study before. Okay, they did another study with this. USC did a study taking these numbers because they wanted to find out how much tone had an effect on the sales process and how it affected your relationship and building rapport. So they did this study and they took 100 couples. And these were couples that were they were there for marriage counseling. And they did two things with them. One, they did a computer analysis of their tone, and then they sat down with the therapist, and the therapist went through their normal stuff. At the end of the meeting, the computer gave a prediction on whether the relationship would last, and the therapist gave a prediction on whether the relationship would last. And then they revisited it after 6 months to see. And more times, 74% more accurate on the computer deciding based off strictly tone than the counselor who was sitting in the room with them and could see the body language and hear the words they were saying. So the computer was actually more accurate than the therapist because they were listening to the tone and how the tone affects what we do. If you want to look at tone, this is really a fascinating thing. We say in sales that sales is 80% mindset, 10% what we say, and 10% who we say it to, right? We've heard that before? Okay, and then I've had this question always asked to me, well, mindset, why is mindset such a big deal? Mindset plays a huge role in the tone that we use. They say that when the computer was analyzing these, they could sense on the tone whether or not this relationship would work out. So when you're coming into a conversation and you have something else on your mind, say that something's bugging you, naturally your tone is going to change. It's going to lead that conversation down a path that you may or may not want. Does that make sense? This is how the mindset plays a role in the sales process. Because if my mindset's not there, just like in this relationship one, they could just be having a normal conversation, but the tone they were using changed the whole direction of the conversation. So when we're prospecting and we're using a specific tone, it's going to direct where we go with it. So in this particular case, the first time somebody says something on the phone, they say hello. If we don't match that tone, what happens?
We had a report.
You're going to create more of a wall that you're going to have to break through because they're instantly not connected with you.
Yeah.
Okay. The fastest thing that we can do is their greeting. Hi, this is Jason. Hi, Jason. This is Jason. Right. Okay. You're going to say the name. That right. Didn't work with the two names. You know what I mean, right? So, yeah. Does that make sense? How this plays a big role? So, in tone, you've also got inflections, so pitch. You've got your volume, and you got upswings.
Marker.
You got upswings and downswings. Try that one.
I don't know whether it's-
There you go. Red works. Okay, so that all affects on our tone. And the biggest thing I want you to get out of this one is tone has more to do with your mindset than it has anything else. In fact, they said one of the key indicators for having effective communication is to start with gratitude. Why would gratitude be a way to start a good, effective communication?
It affects your intention of the conversation.
Yeah.
Which affects your tone. So if your intention from the start of the conversation is gratitude for what you're doing, gratitude that this person answered the phone and that you have the chance to meet them and maybe help them, you know, that influences the whole mindset and the tone. So yeah, gratitude would play a part of it versus someone who makes that call and is, you know, looking for a sale versus the intention of, looking for somebody to help.
Exactly. I like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, if I had a mentality of gratitude, instead of getting on the phone and maybe thinking this person is not going to buy or sell a home with me, that could be on, you know, on the scarcity side. But if I'm thinking gratitude is what you have, what you're grateful for, you're gonna be more on the abundance side, right? So it could totally affect how you treat that caller, how you sound, I guess, or the tone of your voice.
Yeah, and I want you to think of it this way. Has anyone ever got on the phone and had a really nasty call and then got off the phone? How are you feeling?
Poopy.
Right? And then what we say is just get back on there, keep calling next, right? If you are coming from a place of gratitude and you go back into the next call, your tone is going to be able to match a little bit easier. You're going to be able to come with a tone that will lead them through a process that you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to be really conscious of that because we self-sabotage ourselves while we're prospecting because you'll hear things like, oh, that person sucked, or I don't like that person, oh, they were mean. We say stuff that is not in a place of gratitude. Really be conscious of that because it plays such a huge role in the tone that we use. And tone, like this study was showing, plays so much into our mindset, and if 80% of sales is mindset, and we're not working on that daily, that's where one of our problems is with connecting with rapport. Okay, so a challenge with that one just this week when you are speaking, listen to your tone and see how they're reacting to it. When you're speaking with your spouse, when you're speaking with coworkers, just see how your tone is because it's what I said at the very start. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. We do that all the time. Okay. Second one is the rate of speech. Okay, in order to get rapport, we've got to match it exactly. Okay, there's I was reading this stuff about rate of speech because I was very interested in. We've always said it like somebody who speaks really fast is typically what? Like, what do we feel about them? What do we feel about somebody who speaks super fast?
Some people just like they speak different language. If you speak so fast, they couldn't understand.
Yeah, they're not going to understand you. Yeah, that's a whole nother issue. But when we hear fast talkers, what are we normally thinking? Slick, trying to take advantage of us, right? We hear somebody. What's that?
Impatient.
Impatient, right? Okay. Now, what about slow speakers?
Annoying.
Dumb, annoying,
Boring.
right? Okay. Well, here's the interesting thing.
Notice
We-
who answered what, you guys. I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah. The thing that I want you to think about this is we usually define rate of speech as the whole process. Okay? I'm going to speak faster the whole process, therefore I'm getting shady. I'm going to speak slow through the whole process, therefore I'm going to, I'm too slow. There.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah, come on. She's already given me the. Let's go. Yeah, so they're going to be doing that. So this is something that I thought was interesting. Rate of speech needs to vary in our conversation, even with these people. You get an analytical, what she was saying about when they start getting excited about something. When they're getting excited about something, what are they going to tend to do? They're going to start getting a little bit more expressive, which what? Speaks faster, has a little more higher emotion, right?
Yeah.
So even though I'm an analytical, if I'm starting to get excited about something, I might go into a higher rate. Now, if I continue to talk slow like an analytical, but this analytical is going fast because they're excited, what's going to happen? I'm going to break rapport. I'm going to break rapport. Even though I'm matching what the analytical does, this rate of speech plays such a huge role in the effectiveness of how we're having conversations. So I read this thing that I thought was kind of interesting. Using a variety of speech, rate of speech, adds emphasis and importance to your conversation. The higher the importance, the slower you should speak. The lower the importance, the faster you should speak. So as you're having the conversation, as you want them to understand something, if you slow that down, pause maybe a little bit, you'll have a better effect of it. Does that make sense?
Part of that is because it will grab their attention. Anytime we make a shift or a change like that, all of a sudden we just somehow naturally tend to focus a little more.
Yeah.
So that's why, if you want to slow down the speech for something important, they're gonna
Zero in on it and they're gonna hear it.
something just changed.
Yeah, our
I need to
minds
pay
are working
attention.
so fast and they're getting so distracted that we have to manage that. It doesn't matter which group you're in, especially expressives, because expressives are going to be all over the place anyway. So
Are you picking on me now?
expressives are going to be all over the place anyway. So at that point, you're going to have to bring the rate of speech back into it so that you can keep them engaged and know what's important and what's not important. So I'm Jason with Century 21. I'm a real estate agent in the area. It might not be super important to an expressive, and they might have turned out that whole entire sentence that you said, trying to get to the point of why you're calling them. Does that make sense?
So I talk when I'm nervous really, really fast, and I've tried the last couple months to slow that down. And I've recorded myself, and in my head, I am so slow. It's annoying slow to me. But then I'll go back and listen to it, and I'm like, oh, that's not that bad. It didn't sound weird or off.
Yeah. And that's what being versatile is about, is getting out of your own self and being able to adjust to what they need you to be. It's not that you're being not authentic. It's basically what you're trying to do is match what they are with matching the speech.
Yeah, and I'm also recovering analytical, and one of the problems analyticals have, same thing, right, with fast speech, is also we can be very dull, right? We can be very monotone, and when we're on the phone, if we don't listen to our recordings or even in a presentation, we think we're being like, man, Mr. Personality, and then we listen back to the recording like, yeah, you're the number. My name's Matt Sol. It's just so boring. So it's important. With probably any personality style should be listening to these recordings and figure out, what do I need to adjust? Maybe I'm talking way too much. Yeah, like Lindsey.
I love that, you know, the rate of speech kind of shows how actively you're listening. It's hard for me too, I sometimes talk really fast, or I wanna like get to the point real fast, and if you pause and you do the rate of speech and you mirror match, it shows that you're actively listening, even if it's within 5 seconds of the call or 30 seconds of the call.
And that's the key with what we're trying to do here is we're trying to understand these personality types and building this rapport, because in any given conversation, you're gonna connect, you're gonna disconnect, you're gonna connect, you're gonna disconnect. And if you can keep connecting through the process, you're going to get appointments, you're going to get transactions, you're going to get the business that we need. And in order to do that, you've got to know where you're going with this. So building rapport, this is not like, okay, Lindsey and I have connected in the very first of our call because I said the same hello she said. We've connected, and then all of a sudden I don't have to worry about this anymore, because I might have to revisit this and see what is she doing? Because as a driver, if she's stressed out, she's an expressive driver, as somebody stressed out, she might go into full driver mode on me, which has happened, and then I go into full amiable mode, and then we're done. Yeah.
I know how to get what I want.
Part of speaking too fast is lack of confidence, and that is expressed as well. And so that will, even if people don't realize it, and you start talking faster to kind of cover up and too wordy, it turns people off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go through these last ones real quick. I want to spend more time on these two and then the other two, because George just did a daily message on repeat and affirm, and we talked a little bit about mirror matching. So I wanted to really emphasize these ones. But the last little point on rate of speech. If you're dealing with what you said, somebody who's a second language, English is their second language, you have to slow it down or you will not connect with them. If you have somebody say, what did you just say, or can you repeat that? You have to slow it down so that you can connect with them. If you want to understand what this is, it's slowing the speech down so they actually understand you.
Jason, just to echo that, I would just say too, if somebody's saying that to you, you immediately as a salesperson should know you're off track.
Yeah.
If they're having to say slow, I'm sorry, what was that? Or, right,
Yeah.
because you should immediately know they're not hearing your message and you're off track.
Or just some people have like hearing problem. How you gonna be,
Yeah.
You cannot speak very fast, If somebody not speaking nothing in the sign language, how you gonna communicate?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, and then humor. We process humor at a higher rate of speech. So if you're going to do something funny in your conversations, you've got to speed up your rate of speech to do it. We process it faster.
Say that again, sorry, so you're saying, that's like not.
I'm speaking to it.
Right, what are you saying?
It's saying, basically what it's saying is that we as society process funny things fast. Our minds will process it really quick. So if a joke is said really, really slow, it's not as funny as if it's said fast. So if you're going to go that direction. And then the last one is
Just stop.
you got to talk faster when you're going to tell your jokes and nobody gets them. And the last one is normal speed. Normally, when we are stressed out, we speed up, and that's what Taylor said. When we're stressed, we speed up. So when you're on the phone and you're speeding up, take a breath. And then the last this number 3, repeat and affirm. We won't talk about that one as much. Just this is the active listening. And the last one is mirror and match. And the one thing I wanted to bring up on mirror and match, never match accents. We laugh at it, but a lot of times we feel like we're trying to connect, and all of a sudden we're just trying to speak like an Englishman or something like that. Yeah. Don't match accents. The biggest thing was this is one thing on mirror and matching. Mirror and matching's benefit is for the subconscious. We are trying to connect with the subconscious. So things we are doing is trying to connect with them subconsciously. If they're seeing that and it's a conscious movement, it's not working with what we want. Okay? So by you scratching your head, and then I scratching my head, and you cross your legs, and me crossing my legs, eventually it gets to the point where it's a conscious thing, and you're looking at it going, okay, this person's weird. Why are they doing this? But if you connect with them on a subconscious level, you might take a few minutes, maybe do a move before, like crossing your leg, you might, scratch your shoulder, then cross your leg. You might do something like that. Then when you connect with them subconsciously, you're actually connecting with them on the report. So those are the 4 ways that we can connect with the
Jason, can I
report.
just speak to that a little bit more?
Sure.
You guys, why would you want to know or be able to mirror match somebody's body when you're sitting in front of them? If you're in a presentation, why would you want to match your client's body? Why, Jeff?
Well, I guess I've had people folding their arms. George has taught me, hey, if you're folding your arms, don't try to close on them. And I've folded my arms
Right.
before, and I'll start talking to them with my arms folded, and then I'll just show it like a really deliberate relaxing, and sometimes they'll go, okay, I'll
Perfect.
relax.
Yeah, if they're folding their arms, you guys, they're closed off at you. You're not gonna be able to close it, right? This is a typical, hey, I'm guarded, what the heck are you trying to tell me? Where if you go into mirror and matching, and like Jason's saying, you gently just fold your arms and then naturally unfold yours, watch what they'll do. And now you've brought them out of their guard. So it's NLP. Right? How many of you watched the YouTube video that we told you to watch 2 weeks ago?
Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Matt, good job.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tony.
you guys, there's a great YouTube video on building rapport with Tony Robbins that will talk to these 4 key elements. And he'll talk to kind of what Jason is saying, the fast talking person, and he'll use like a New York accent, right? And he'll talk to this fast talking person and how do these slow talking people, and he'll go to this Texan accent. And he'll share examples of this. So if you're really looking for live examples, go watch the video. It's a great 15-minute clip, but it's key. It is really key to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. In fact, there's a study that you can do. Try it when you're in a restaurant. Pick somebody across the room and start matching what they're doing, and then see if you can get them to do something different. Subconscious doesn't necessarily work with the one you're just talking with. It's matching and connecting energy levels. When you connect with the energy level of somebody else, whether they're right here or they're over there, then all of a sudden you've got some kind of a connection. Does that make sense? So that's why this is important. If you're not in that connection, if the energy is going in a totally different direction, you're not going to be in rapport. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next section. We're going to role play through the pre-qualification script.
How many of you are using the pre-qual script?
That's a whole other class in itself if you're not using it. You can stay after if you're not using it. Just kidding.
Guys, I guess why Jason and why we chose to use the pre-qual script specifically, there's a reason why you're using your pre-qual script. If you haven't already figured out your client's personality style on the first call, this is the script that usually will let you know who your client is. Okay, so that you know how to come prepared for your listing presentation, so you know who you need to be for your client, not for somebody else, right? Or not for yourself. So.
Okay, so the way we're going to do it is we're going to role play a couple times through this, and I'm going to be the agent, and then she's going to be the agent. We're going to choose a different personality to try. When you think you know what personality it is, I want you to raise your hand, and just don't say it out loud. I just want you to raise your hand when you think you know what personality it is. And then the key here, this is the one we can't change. I want you to commit to that in your own mind as we're going through it, so that when we're done and we say this is what we really were, if you were wrong, I want you to find out why you were wrong. Okay, so don't be like, oh, I think he's analytical, and then later in the script you're like, oh, he for sure is not analytical. He's something else, right? So just commit to what the one. Does that make sense?
Can we go one step further?
Yep, one step further. Go ahead.
I want to play and have fun with this. So I want you guys to do a little trick. And when you know which personalities they are, I want you to put up one hand. And when you know who it is for sure, I want you to put up both.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we play?
Yes.
Yep.
Are you guys going to be live?
I
So 1 hand when you know what personalities they aren't. So you're gonna eliminate, right? We wanna get you in the habit of eliminating the 2 that they are not first. And then I want you to put up your 2nd hand when you know what personality it is. Fair?
I'll do it.
Okay, you starting?
Yep, I will start. All right, Lindsay, before I come out, there are a number of questions I need to ask you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Fantastic. If what I say makes sense, you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning to list your home with me when I come out on Tuesday at 4?
Well, no, Jason, I have 2 more agents I have to interview.
Okay, 2 more agents? Fantastic. And tell me again, where are you moving to?
LA.
LA. How soon do you have to be there?
I think I told you 45 days, right?
45 days. Awesome. Okay. And when I see you, how much do you want to list your home for?
Well, I told you I need bottom line is $475. I can't
475.
expect anything else.
Okay, 475. Fantastic. And as a professional, I study homes prices every day. Therefore, I assume you list me a price that'll cause your home to sell, correct?
I mean, yeah, if you can get me my bottom line result, then of course.
Awesome. Bottom line result. So what price won't you go below?
475.
475. How much do you own the property?
I owe 275.
275. You ever thought about selling yourself?
Of course.
Okay, we help finance a home for a buyer, or you can.
Who doesn't have their hands up yet? Guys, okay. Come on.
Okay.
So what was I? Everybody yell it out.
Driver.
Right. Straight, direct, bottom line. I'm getting to the point. I'm okay with you asking me my questions, but get me to the bottom line.
Right. Yep. Makes sense?
But another thing that I want you guys to see, how was Jason's tonality with me?
Fast.
It was fast, it was not too.
How else was it?
Direct.
The tone, right? The tone was there, everything.
Direct.
Rate of speech was there.
But look at this high level analytical and how he came at me very direct.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Jason, before I come out, there are a number of questions I need to ask you. Okay.
Sure.
If what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning on listing your home with me?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Are you planning on interviewing any other agents for the job of selling your home?
We've got a couple of agents we're going to talk to.
Okay. You've got a couple other agents you're going to talk to. Jason, tell me again, where are you moving to?
We're moving to St. George.
You're moving to St. George. That's fantastic. And how soon do you have to be there?
I'd like to be down there in the next, probably before Christmas.
Okay, before Christmas. And Jason, when I see you, how much do you want to list your home for?
Well, what price do you think it's worth?
Well, you know, Jason, we'll discuss that when I get there tonight. So, as a professional real estate agent, Jason, I study homes and prices every day. Therefore, I assume you'll list with me at the price that will cause your home to sell, correct?
If it makes sense, yeah.
If it makes sense, fantastic. So, what price won't you go below?
I don't know, we need at least 400.
Okay, at least 400. How much do you own the property?
I don't know, 280.
Okay, about 280. Okay. Have you ever thought about selling it yourself?
No, we're not gonna sell that.
You're not going to sell it on your own.
No. Does everyone have it?
Amiable.
Okay, why amiable?
You're not a driver.
Agreeable, slow, slower.
I think if you'd been an analytical, you would know exactly your numbers and how much you owe.
Yeah, so that was a big key there.
That was the
And then
key right
you asked
there.
her, what do you think?
What do I? Yeah.
Yeah, I said back to you.
Yeah, an amiable is not gonna. I'm not gonna confront you on there. They're the ones that are gonna say stuff like, "Well, you're the professional.
Yeah.
What would you suggest?"
Yeah.
And they're gonna want to know what you're thinking because I don't want to make you wrong. And well, you're here, so I don't want to make you wrong.
Did you say 180-ish just drive you crazy? That
Me?
was really hard for you.
I'm a high level amiable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So notice though, guys, as soon as I picked up the personality, I slowed way down, right? Came way down, especially with my high level expressive, slowed way down. The tone, I went soft, right? I wasn't bold and direct in my expressive.
You didn't stick with it. You didn't stick him on the question either. Like if he wasn't giving you the answer you wanted, just move on.
Great point, Jeff. You do not box an amiable in. Do not box them in, okay? You box them in, you'll lose them. Their natural instinct is they will retreat from you.
I think one of the temptations though is to hear like maybe a one word answer and just be like, okay, I know what this guy is.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, are you guys doing more practices or are you done?
We're gonna do some of the other two.
Okay, cool. I was just
Yeah,
because I think you get like one word answer. Like it wasn't clear to me if you're analytical or amiable at first.
and you're because of this section right here, slow decision makers, slow talkers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times, depending on the question you ask me, they're going to be very similar.
Yeah.
They're going to be very similar because I'm going to answer them slow. I'm going to talk to you slow.
Yeah. Right.
And so that's why you eliminate what they're not first, because you probably will be able to get it down to the final two.
Mm-hmm.
And some people you talk to, you might not be able to get the personality right exactly. Like you got it down to two, and my suggestion is prepare your presentation for both of those. Because if depending on my mood, if I'm a high analytical and my mood is more like, come over, I'm more amiable on the phone, and you don't prepare for this presentation, and you come out for this presentation, and all of a sudden I turn on, okay, now we're analytical. And you're not prepared for that, it's over. You're done. Especially with analytical.
Remember 2 weeks ago we talked
This
about
side, there's not a lot of fluff. You're gonna lose it. This side, there's a lot of fluff.
Oh yeah?
There's a lot of fluff.
Wow. Or we're just quickly on it.
Just
All
make
right.
a listing appointment at party and they'll sign.
That's right. We'll have balloons. All right, Lindsay, let's go through it one more time. Here we go. Before I come out, there are a number of questions I need to ask you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Fantastic. Hey, if what I say makes sense, you feel comfortable, confident that I can sell your home, or you plan to list your home with me when I come out tonight at 4 o'clock?
Oh, I don't know, Jason. I have a friend in the business, and my cousin also sells real estate, so we're probably going to talk to them.
Awesome. So you got a friend in the business. That's fantastic. So are you planning to interview them also for the job of selling your home?
I don't know. I really, I hate to have my family involved in my business.
Yeah, I can understand that totally. So let me ask you this: where do you live to?
We just want to move down the street we want to be in the Jordan School District, so we want to put our kids there. So.
Jordan School. That sounds fun.
Yeah,
That's
they have
awesome.
better high schools, better athletic programs, things like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, better programs over there for sure. So how soon would you like to be there?
Oh gosh, the sooner the better.
Awesome.
You guys know who it is, right?
So that's really hard for me to pretend like I'm expressive because I'm not expressive.
You did okay.
I was really expressive.
Good.
But that was
Even though you're
the reason why you said that's exciting.
That's exciting. That's fun. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
That was Lindsey 2011. By the way, that was 100% oral 2011.
Why do you say 2011, Taylor?
Because that was the fun.
That was he called me because there's a work Lindsey and the fun Lindsey.
All right, so let's run through the last one. We know what it is, but now I can be myself.
Yay.
Yay,
Okay,
Mr. Personality.
Jason, before I come out, there are a number of questions I need to ask you, okay?
All right.
Fantastic. If what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning on listing your home with me when I come out tonight?
We'll have to see when you come out.
Okay, we'll have to see. Are you planning on interviewing any more agents for the job of selling your home?
Yes, we are.
You are fantastic. Tell me again, Jason, where are you moving to?
We are moving to Park City.
You're moving to Park City. That's fantastic. And how soon do you have to be there?
I'd like to be there middle of November.
The middle of November? Great. And when I see you, how much do you want to list your home for?
Probably around 600,000.
600,000. And Jason, tell me what's most important to you about 600,000.
Well, that's what I need to get out of it.
That's what you need to get out of it. Okay. Well, as a real estate professional, Jason, I study homes and prices every day. Therefore, I'll send you'll list with me at the price that I can cause your home to sell. Correct?
As long as it's around 600,000, we should be good.
Around 600,000. That's fantastic. And Jason, you said that wasn't the price you'd go below, correct?
Well, that's the price that we want to be at.
That's the price you want to be at. Okay. And how much do you own the property?
I owe $350,000.
$350,000. Okay, fantastic. And have you ever thought about selling it yourself?
Yes, we have.
You have. Great. You guys know? See the difference in it?
My personality totally came out.
I know.
I mean, you know it's not a drive, you know it's not expressive, but
And he knows his numbers.
But, and that's the exact point, right? This is why it's important that you don't eliminate who they are first, you eliminate who they are not. So I very easily on that call, right, he's talking numbers, I now very easily can eliminate these two personality styles, and I now know I have one of them. And remember last, 2 weeks ago, we talked about on your lead sheet, make sure you're writing the personality styles up at the top and, you know, have that prepared like Jason's saying, so you know that they're there. Yeah, Chris.
I keep learning more and more about our scripts. One thing I just learned through this is our scripts allow us to be versatile. It's not like
Absolutely.
an expressive script. You know what I mean? And I hear so many times, I've said it before when I encounter scripts. And how many of us have said the words, oh, I don't say those things. How can I say that, right? But yeah, it's in a way where you're allowed to be analytical. You're allowed to talk to an expressive, right? So.
I love that you say that, Chris, because it is not only key to the script, and that is something that I learned too, and it's also key to the techniques, right? If I'm repeating and affirming, I'm repeating and affirming in their language. I'm repeating and affirming in the way that they need me to be, right? So pay attention to the fundamental skill sets, not just the script too. So yes. Taylor.
Isn't there one more question on that about describe your house to me?
Well, yeah, as you went through, and that's a great
That's the
one
one,
to go into to get more information. I want to bring that up with numbers. See, depending on the question you ask, it's going to determine whether or not it's an analytical answer. Because if I said, how many kids do you have? This amiable better know what the number is. That they might know those numbers. So if I ask a simple number, and then you come back and say what the actual number is, and you're like, oh, they know their numbers. I'm eliminating these guys, but they know their numbers. It's not always about the numbers, it's how we speak to the numbers. It's how we get excited about the numbers, how the numbers become important. Remember, I'm low emotion in this section here, so I'm not going to get super excited about the bottom line number and what I need out of it, but I'll know exactly where I want to be. And I may or may not even tell her on the phone.
That is a good point, Tate, and I have some coaching clients that will ask that question up further in advance. Because if you ask the question of, please describe your home for me, well, Jason, how would you describe your home?
As an analytical?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a 4-bedroom, 3 baths, about 2,400 square feet.
Okay, fantastic. He might even give me acreage, he might even give me how many car garages, right? Like, he's gonna give me all of the numbers. If let's see, Jeff, you said you're a driver. Give me how a driver would
Oh, I would
explain.
have said exactly what you just said.
Okay.
Seriously.
So a driver's gonna be a little bit more.
Well,
They're gonna
I'm
be
very
3 bedrooms,
analytical.
2 baths. What else do you wanna know? I mean, they're gonna be pretty direct. Like,
The other ones that are for sale by owners that say, didn't you see the ad? I wrote it in the ad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you not read it?
And so what type of personality is that?
That's-
Didn't they see it in the ad?
It's going to be on this side. It could be both of these.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's not going to be the one that wants to talk about it because they'll be excited about it. And an amiable is just going to be like, oh yeah, well, let me tell you about my house. It's so awesome, and they're going to do that. So when you get that as a for sale by owners, like you got the ad right there, you can automatically eliminate 2 of them just with that response of them coming back at you.
so Matt, analytical, how would you describe you are analytical.
I am.
Yeah, you know what I wanted.
Okay.
Daniel, explain your home to me.
Excuse me. Lindsay, I'm so glad you asked. I have the nicest home on the block. It's got the picturesque backdrop of the Wasatch Front. Is that what you're looking for?
Okay. Oh, where's my amiable?
Kim,
No, Tim's not naturally. Who's my
Talk to
amiable?
Amaria, she's.
Amaria.
Mari is
I was gonna say, she's got her phone. Explain your home to me.
The home's beautiful, it's very comfortable, I love the fall colors, I've decorated the home pretty, so you'll be falling over that as soon as you walk in.
They're gonna give you the feeling of the home when they describe it, right? It feels like a home, it feels like people wanna be here, you know, we have great parties, but the expressive is gonna be like, I have the family room, the kitchen, the this, that, we have these great big parties and all my friends and family come over, da 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 da, right? And the analyticals usually, and then the drivers are very rarely gonna get into that side, very rarely, okay? How do expressives decorate their home? And why am I asking this question?
So you go around the house like about it.
Bright colors of their family, but you often are always gonna be in the picture, right? The reason why I'm telling you guys this is the way the home is decorated is the decision maker. So now if I have and what's funny is the opposites are usually the ones that are married to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're an expressive, you're usually married to an analytical. If you have a driver, you're usually married to the amiable. So now I have both the husband and wife in front of me, and I have a home that's decorated in bold, bright colors with pictures of me and my family and my kids and my dogs. Who do I have? The expressive. If I go into a driver's home and it's bold colors but very clean cut, right? If I go into an analytical, it's going to be clean cut but very neutral colors.
You ever see me in a color other than this?
Okay, and then the
This is
amiable
expressive.
is often like it's that home. The best way that I describe it is it's that home that the second you walk into it, you feel like you're at home, even when you're a complete stranger, right? Like it feels homey, it feels warm, it feels welcoming, things like that. So you're gonna know based on the way the home is decorated who your decision maker is too. And as Michael often say, it's usually the wife.
Okay, then you indicated that they're often married to the opposite. That would tell you who's decorating the house?
No,
No?
I wouldn't go in with that. Again, remember, we're wanting to eliminate who they are not first before we eliminate who they are. So,
Yeah, but if you look at both the husband and the wife, or.
well, it's not guaranteed, right? You still need to go into the appointment acting as if you don't know who the other person is.
Right.
I'm not gonna say, okay, well, I have a driver and an analytical, so that means I have one. No, you can't eliminate that. So, right now. So you'd still need to ask the right questions. And it's why we go back to, are you pre-qualifying both parties?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be just pre-qualifying one, is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah.
You shouldn't just be pre-qualifying one person. You should be pre-qualifying both the husband and the wife.
And how do you do that? How do you get them both on the phone to talk to you?
Hey, you know what, Ginger, now that I've asked you these questions, is it okay if I reach out to your husband and ask him the questions? I just wanna make sure that I'm prepared for him as well for our appointment.
That seems kind of strange. I'm the one that makes the decisions.
Of course, but I definitely wanna make him feel included, right, Ginger? Right, cause she's obviously. No. Okay, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be reaching out to the other party.
And you may or may not be able to do it, but as long as you're prepared, knowing the differences, you can adjust. But you gotta know what they are.
Right.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to add to that, if you aren't able to speak to the spouse or the other partner, or if they're a decision maker, when you go to the presentation, you can ask those questions at that moment. Say, hey, it was so nice talking to you, but I'd love to share the same ideas and ask you the same questions. Is that okay? You can ask them there at that moment.
You guys, just the other thing that I would echo to you on this is your opposite on the chart is usually the one you struggle with or have the hardest time learning. So look at that and master it. Okay, master it. And then I would just go back to what Jason said, and Jason, you come before is, remember you guys, these skill sets are not just used in business. I remember the first time that I learned this. I'm a high-level expressive, as Taylor will throw me under the bus and tell you, because he's known me for 15 plus years, right, is I think that I'm the life of the party. I go into my house, I go to my family, I am that high-level expressive by nature. Yes, I do have a high-level driver underlining, so sometimes I move into that very quickly, actually, in most cases. However, I will tell you, I thought my little sister was a high-level expressive as well. Guess what she was? High-level amiable. And when I could come down and relate, I hate it. Jason corrects me when I say this. I'm not meaning by coming down. I don't mean that out of disrespect by any means. I just mean when I bring my level, right, of I'm just digging my hole deeper. But more or less, when I come to her personality style, right, I'm who I need to be for her.
When her energy level drops.
Then the rest of us are in rapport.
See, we just keep digging the hole deep. Let's stop there.
So I got a question for you. How did you think she wasn't expressive but found out she's amiable?
Because what will often happen is these two personalities tend to in my opinion, take over a lot, right? They tend to take over and they tend to be the life of the party, and so then if somebody like an amiable wants to be the life of the party, well, then she would adapt to me.
So is she
So naturally.
secretly living the life as an expressive, but her soul is amiable? Or like, I'm still a little foggy on it. Because I have people that I'm thinking of in my head, I'm like, this could be so many different things sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and we do. We all can go into different personality styles based on what's happening or circumstances. Or Tony will often say, right, circumstances, culture, society, situations that are happening in their life. In fact, I often will say, like, you know, I said this a couple weeks ago, is I have the cell skills, but then I've also, for who's been to UPW? Who knows the 6 human needs? Okay, certainty, uncertainty, connection, right? Love and connection, variety. Now, imagine going through his leadership training and learning that you can now take rapport techniques and connect them to the 6 human needs and know based on their needs. So if I'm specifically, because you're asking about family, if I'm based on their need and what they're needing from me at that moment, they might go into a different personality, right? Because if she's looking for love and connection, well, then she's going to come being expressive because she's looking for love and connection from me. Right, so she's being Lindsey, right? So, the way that I'm saying it sounds awful, but.
I would use the word adapt.
Yeah, she's adapting.
Adapt to the, rather than come up.
That's why practicing this in all different circumstances, I mean, don't just practice it on your clients, practice it on the people that you know so you can start understanding what it is. When you're talking to an agent here, you're like, okay, let's figure out what they're not and figure out what they are and try to adapt to it, because as you get these skills where you can adjust back and forth, your business is going to go in a whole other direction. You're going to be able to control where you want to go with it. If not,
100%.
then we're always in this frame of mind of like, I'm sales. When I get on the phone, I've got to do this. I'm going to match. I'm going to mirror and match. I'm going to repeat and affirm. These are skills that once you've mastered, become part of you and allows you to be the versatile person where I don't have to act like a driver, but I have to be what they need me to be at the moment.
Yeah.
Because for me, expressive gets me really uncomfortable, but I have expressive sides too if I need to be expressive.
He has a good time sometimes, even though he declines me on roller coasters.
He can be expressive sometimes.
Jason, I can be expressive.
So I discipline and reward my kids differently because of that. Like my daughter, if I did something the same as my son, it wouldn't go over near as well, but vice versa. Like I have to discipline them completely different, even though they may do the same thing.
Yeah, and you probably can put them into a category here of saying this is how I have to deal with them, and it could be the exact same thing, but you have to change the tone or you have to change the volume. Or, like the other day, I was talking to my daughter, and she's like, "Stop yelling at me, Dad." I'm like, I wasn't even yelling. And then I go into my driver mode and say, "No, if you want to hear what yelling is, this is yelling."
Yeah, there you go.
That's a
Just last question: is there, like, outside of DISC, is there a personality test or whatever it is that
Well, there's
aligns
so
with this,
many,
or how does DISC align with this, or what's the best one?
So DISC is the D is the driver, the I is the expressive, the S is the analytical, and the A is,
No.
sorry.
The
S is the amiable, the C is the M.
Okay, so just match that. Okay.
Can you write that, please? That would be, because when I took that test, I was like, what the yes.
Yeah, that one to me, Chris, I have taken many others. There's actually a whole book on that, specifically like holding your kids accountable to based on their personality style and how you can actually help them. And I love that. So there's so many different forms of this. There really is. My opinion is, there's a color coding book. There's, that has like 8 different colors, and they even go into these realms, right? And my opinion is the DISC is the best because it'll tell you what you are, and then it speaks to how you need to adapt to the, I mean, you know this because you've done it, but it'll speak to how you need to adapt to the other, and you're adaptive, and how you naturally, right, will take that. And I recommend that you guys take that test on a yearly basis because the more versatile you'll become. I have taken the DISC test once, and I was straight across the board. Okay, so the more versatile you become, there you'll become, you'll very quickly. And I always say too, like different times of your life, right? You're gonna be a different person.
Different experiences.
So
Do you recommend the Tony Robbins disc test then?
Yep. Online, the disc thing.
Nope.
And if you guys wanna
We're
take it
done.
and you have any questions, come talk to us. We'd love to do it. But this profile test, I would challenge you guys to take that if you don't know what you are yet. And I would challenge you again to make sure that you're watching that rapport video by Tony Robbins, that 15-minute video if you haven't watched it already. Okay?